Here we are, my first FSX scenery tutorial. In this tutorial I was going to show you just one way I create window textures for my models. Here I threw up a picture of a terminal model I'm working on for Spokane International Airport. Still a work in progress, but you can see what I have done so far in that photo. I kind of recorded the video in full and then I edited it and kind of took out some of the parts that got a little repetitive or long and kind of condensed the video a little bit, or sometimes just to knock out a little of my BS. But anyhow, here it is. Alright, here we are in GIMP, and I thought to start out with my texture creation series of tutorials here. I thought I'd start out by showing you some of the steps I took in creating these window textures. You know, the glass texture and the just how I shaded it all and got the depth to look pretty good. So I think I'll just go right into it here. Okay, here we are in a new there's a new texture in GIMP. Nothing's been done to it yet. So the first thing I'll do is I go to Layer, Transparency, and Color to Alpha. This is one thing I pretty much always do when I create a new texture. Next thing, I like to kind of map out my texture. I just go to, and do this, I just go to Image, Guides, and create a new guide. I always usually put a guide vertically and horizontally in the center of the image. Those are always just good reference points to have. I think at the moment I'll also put ones at 0 and 100% on both vertical and horizontal. So let's just make things pretty easy. Let me just finish this up here. Whoops. So one of the things I like about guides is that the selection tool, if you can just first make a little arbitrary selection, but then you can take the corners and it'll snap right into the position of the guides, and so that's a really helpful feature. So I think I'll start out with something kind of like this window right up here. You can see it's got just a base. I think I'll just start out with the base image, or just the reflection of the window, the window glass itself. So I'll start out with that, and so I think just create a quick guide, a new guide here. I'll take the move tool, click and drag from the ruler, and just kind of eyeball this. And I'm not going to be too accurate here since this is just a tutorial. Okay, so now I have the shape of my window. I'm going to put another one. A lot of times you can just eyeball this. I'm going to put another one right in the center. If you want to be a little more precise, you can use the tape measure tool, but usually I can eyeball it pretty close and it works fine. I'll put one kind of right about in the center of the image. So as you'll notice, I'm always starting out with putting guides in the center of whatever piece of the texture I'm going to be working on. Just having those there, always just good reference lines or guides in this case. I'm just going to kind of map out where the frames are going to be. So like I'm picturing these horizontal and vertical guides to be kind of in the center of the window frame. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Just gonna kind of make sure it's fairly even. I'm just gonna leave it at that. That should be enough to give you guys an idea. Alright, so I think the first thing should be done. I need to go into Google Earth here, and I'm going to get myself a reflection image. I find it's really great if you can just go into Google Earth and go down to the Street View. As soon as I get there here. Let's go to Street View here. And if I just take... a lot of times just use the snipping tool and just take a snip of the Street View here. I'm just going to save it. I usually save my images pretty quickly. Just give it like the name 1 or something. Okay. I'm going to get back in GIMP here. We're going to say open as layer. Go to my desktop here and open that image I just snipped. Position it. I could downsize it a little bit. I'm going to try and work fairly fast here. Alright, and I'm just going to crop this layer to the selection. As soon as I remember how to do that, crop to selection, there we go. Well, that works. It's still going to be the same. Well, probably shouldn't. Alright, I'm just going to delete these parts of the image here. And see, yeah, it's really nice with how the selection tool snaps to those guides, and see it really makes it a lot easier to delete things like that. I'm gonna layer transparency, add alpha channel. That's one thing I should have done before I tried erasing these parts of the image. Okay. So let's snap to that one. Okay. Clean that up. So now I have my image, and the next thing I want to do, since this is just reflection, I really don't want any of these colors in here. I'm just gonna go to colors, hue and saturation. I'm gonna set the saturation to 0. So that just creates a black and white image, essentially. And that's gonna be our reflection. Now we need to make a new layer. Say layer, new layer. That's really what it's all about, is creating just layer after layer of colors and images and whatnot. And that's really the way I get a lot of my depth and realism jammed into my textures. Alright, I'm just going in here. I'm looking for, I guess it's sort of like a teal green color or something. I'm just going to go in here and kind of hit down to my blue greens. I'll just stick with that for now, and you know, you can put your color in. I'm just going to change the opacity now so the reflection shines through here. You can put your color in, but you know, you can remember that you can always change, you know, the color of the window just with these settings up here in the tools menu, or whatever it is, the colors menu. And so now you'll notice that the reflection I have here is not near as sharp looking as I have it in here, and that's exactly what it is. I need to kind of blur this image. It's gonna go layer, filters, blur. Okay, and just say Control F. You can repeat that blur as many times as you would like. I'm liking that. Whoops. Okay, there. I'm liking that. Let's see, some other things we could do, maybe. Just trying to think of ways we could blur this image, make it so it's not quite so obvious exactly what you're looking at, but at the same time you can see that it's reflecting something. So that looks pretty good. Next thing, I'm just going to do another layer here. I'm kind of doing this kind of quickly here, but you guys might want to kind of organize your layers a little bit better. Name them, you know, just go into layer attributes and name them. So come up with some sort of naming system. I usually like to do that. I'm going to put a little darker. Whoops. I'm going to take our blend tool here. I'm just going to FG2 transparent, and I'm going to just put a little shading on the bottom, and probably put a little on the top too, actually. And bring down the opacity. Alright, looks good. This isn't quite the same as this window, and I think there's another thing I could do here. I'm going to do another layer here. This is a technique I've used quite a bit. Fill the whole selection with just black on a new layer. Then I go to my eraser, go to brushes, and I select, oh, I couldn't tell you what these are called, but I'm just going to select one of these here. Okay. Just use the eraser and just kind of erase, I don't know, most of the black, not all of it. Whoops. So something like that. And then I just bring down the opacity of that layer. And that can give some nice effects. And so that's about it for really the base colors. You can go back through and tweak it. You see I've added, these are actually beams that are being reflected into the window that I added. But yeah, that's about it, and then you gotta move on to the frame.